They say that in the annals of true crime, some killers fade into obscurity, but others etch their names in infamy through taunts and riddles that baffle generations. This couldn't be truer for the Zodiac Killer, a shadowy figure who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s, claiming at least 5 confirmed lives and boasting of up to 37 more in cryptic letters that mocked the police, teased the public, and promised endless bloodshed. His identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history, a psychopath who turned murder into a macabre game, sending elaborate ciphers, bizarre symbols, and blood-stained evidence that hinted at his name, but always led to dead ends. He was arrogant, exhibitionistic, and utterly devoid of remorse, treating human lives as mere pawns in his twisted puzzle, drawing inspiration from occult symbols, Pulp Fiction, and perhaps even a warped sense of astrology. In this video, we'll delve deep into the chilling crimes, painting vivid pictures of the isolated crime scenes where young lives were snuffed out under the cover of night. We'll explore the enigmatic messages, decoding the full solutions to his infamous ciphers and analyzing their deranged content. We'll profile the victims in heartbreaking detail, sharing their dreams, personalities, and the families left shattered. We'll uncover the relentless investigations marred by mishaps, interagency, rivalries, and false leads. We'll dissect the lives of key suspects, from their troubled childhoods to their suspicious behaviors. We'll examine the profound cultural impact, from blockbuster films to podcasts that keep the legend alive. And finally, we'll discuss the latest 2025 updates, including new documentaries, books promising breakthroughs, and ongoing DNA hunts that could, hypothetically, crack the case wide open at any moment. Buckle up, because this is a story that refuses to die, much like the Zodiac's grip on our collective nightmares. Let's get started. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror unfolded against the backdrop of a turbulent era in American history. The late 1960s were a time of profound change and unrest. The Vietnam War raged overseas, dividing the nation. The civil rights movement pushed for equality amid violent backlash, and the counterculture revolution bloomed in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district, with its promises of peace, love, and psychedelic freedom. But beneath this veneer of hope and rebellion lurked a growing darkness. Serial killers like Charles Manson would soon capture headlines, but the Zodiac predated even him, striking fear into the hearts of Northern Californians. Operating primarily between December 1968 and October 1969, though he claimed victims as early as 1963 and as late as 1970, the Zodiac targeted young couples in secluded lovers' lanes and lone individuals, using guns, knives, and psychological warfare. What set him apart wasn't just brutality. It was his insatiable hunger for notoriety. He communicated through letters to newspapers, riddled with intentional misspellings to mock authorities. Occult symbols like the cross circle, resembling a Celtic cross or a gun sight, and cryptograms that dared the world to solve them. Psychologists profiling him later described a classic narcissist with possible paranoid schizophrenic tendencies, someone obsessed with control, domination, and immortality through infamy. He may have drawn from sources like the short story The Most Dangerous Game, which he referenced in his decoded messages, or astrological lore, given his self-chosen moniker. But who was he? A military veteran with bomb-making knowledge? A frustrated intellectual hiding behind deliberate errors? As we'll soon see, the clues he scattered only deepened the enigma, leaving investigators chasing shadows for over 5 decades. Let's start with the first confirmed attack, a scene that would set the tone for the Zodiac's methodical horror. It was December 20th, 1968, in Benicia, California, a quiet, working-class town nestled along the Carquinez Strait, where the salty bay air mixed with the scent of eucalyptus trees. The evening was crisp and clear, stars twinkling overhead as holiday lights twinkled in nearby homes, evoking a false sense of seasonal cheer. 17-year-old David Arthur Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen were high school sweethearts from Vallejo High School, embodying the innocence of youth in a changing world. David was a polite, athletic boy with a bright future. He was an Eagle Scout candidate, active in his church youth group, and dreamed of becoming a teacher or perhaps enlisting in the military to serve his country. He had a warm smile, loved playing basketball with friends, and was known for his kindness, always helping neighbors with chores or tutoring younger kids. Betty Lou, on the other hand, was shy and artistic, With long dark hair and a gentle demeanor, she adored music, playing the piano at family gatherings, and harbored aspirations of becoming a nurse to care for others. Her family remembered her as the peacemaker, the one who baked cookies for classmates and volunteered at local animal shelters. That night marked their first official date. They attended a Christmas concert at Hogan High School, holding hands and whispering excitedly about the holidays. Afterward, around 10:15 p.m., they drove David's brown Rambler station wagon to Lake Herman Road, a gravel pullout known as a lover's lane, where couples sought privacy amid the rolling hills dotted with oak trees and distant farm lights. The spot was isolated, with only the occasional passing car breaking the silence of the night. As they sat close, sharing dreams, David talking about college, Betty Lou about traveling someday, a mysterious car, possibly a white Chevrolet Impala, pulled up behind them around 11 p.m. The driver, a stocky man in dark clothing, emerged without a word. He fired several shots at Faraday's car as he walked around to the driver's side. None of the shots hit Faraday and Jensen. The couple scrambled to get out through the passenger door. Jensen succeeded. As Faraday was exiting, the killer shot him in the head with a .22 caliber pistol. Betty Lou, terrified, bolted from the vehicle, her screams piercing the cold air as she ran toward the road for help. The killer pursued calmly, firing 5 shots into her back from about 10 feet away, her body collapsing face down on the gravel just 28 feet from the car, her arms outstretched as if reaching for safety that never came. The scene was gruesome. Blood spattered the car's interior, mixing with shards of glass. Betty Lou's white dress was stained crimson, her purse contents scattered in the chaos. No sexual assault, no robbery, just cold execution. The killer possibly wiped down any potential prints, returned his car, and vanished into the night, leaving tire tracks that led nowhere definitive. At 11:10 p.m., a motorist spotted the couple's bodies and alerted police. Police arrived to a gruesome scene. Blood pooling on a gravel road. Jensen was dead and Faraday was still breathing. However, he died at the hospital. The young victims' futures were stolen in an instant. Initial theories by the police pointed to a madman wanting to kill, but as months passed without leads, the case grew cold. Little did authorities know. This was the opening act in a symphony of terror that would claim more lives and spawn endless speculation. The Zodiac's cooling-off period. Psychologists speculate he may have been relishing his success or planning meticulously. Ended dramatically 6 months later on July 4th, 1969, amid the patriotic fireworks and barbecues of Independence Day. This time, the scene shifted to Vallejo, a blue-collar city about 10 miles south of Benicia, known for its naval shipyards and diverse community. 22-year-old Darlene Elizabeth Farron and 19-year-old Michael Ramajo were parked in the dimly lit lot of Blue Rock Springs Park, a secluded area surrounded by dense foliage and a golf course, where the distant pops of fireworks echoed like gunfire foreshadowing. Darlene was a vibrant, outgoing waitress at Caesar's Palace restaurant, married to Dean Farron, but known for her flirtatious nature and love of life. She had an infectious laugh, enjoyed dancing to Motown hits, and dreamed of opening her own beauty salon. Friends describe her as the life of any party, always ready with a kind word or a homemade pie for neighbors. She had a young daughter from a previous relationship and was fiercely protective, often working double shifts to provide. Michael, her companion that night, was a quiet, introspective young man working as a laborer at a tire shop. He was introverted but loyal, with a passion for cars and hopes of becoming a mechanic. He admired Darlene's energy and had been friends with her for months, perhaps harboring unspoken feelings. They arrived around 11:45 p.m., chatting about their days under the starry sky, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder from celebrations. Suddenly, a brown Ford or Chevrolet sedan pulled up, its headlights flashing as if signaling authority, perhaps mimicking police to lower their guard. Thinking it was an officer, they waited. The man, stocky with curly brown hair, approached with a powerful flashlight blinding them, then unleashed a barrage from a 9mm Luger semi-automatic. Darlene was struck 5 times, in the arms, back, and chest, as she shielded Michael instinctively. Her body jerked with each impact, blood spraying across the dashboard and seats, her final gasp muffled by the fireworks overhead. Michael, Hit 4 times in the face, neck, leg, and chest. Slumped in agony, his jaw shattered, but he survived by playing dead. The assailant fired additional rounds into bodies for certainty, then walked away casually, but returned when Michael moaned, shooting twice more before fleeing. The park lot was now a horror show. Blood pooled on the gravel, mixing with oil from the car. The air reeked of cordite and iron. 3 teenagers drove into the parking lot, saw the wounded couple, and called authorities. Darlene died at Kaiser Hospital, her last words a faint plea for her daughter. Michael survived and described the attacker as a heavy-set white man, around 5 feet 8 inches tall. He estimated the assailant's weight as 195 to 200 pounds, with a large face and curly light brown hair. The killer wore dark clothes and no glasses. These details were not enough to develop a suspect, but the nightmare escalated 40 minutes later when the killer called Vallejo police from a payphone near Darlene's home. His voice was deep, mocking, and deliberate. "I want to report a double murder. If you will go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway to the public park, you will find the kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye." The call was traced, but he was gone, leaving only a chilling link between the crimes. Investigators initially suspected Darlene's husband or a stalker. She had mentioned being followed, but Michael's description pointed to a stranger, fueling fears of a random predator. As panic gripped the Bay Area, parents warning teens against parking in remote spots, newspapers sensationalizing the Lover's Lane killer, the Zodiac's ego couldn't resist the spotlight. On July 31st, 1969, he mailed nearly identical letters to 3 newspapers: the Vallejo Times-Herald, San Francisco Chronicle, and San Francisco Examiner. Each envelope was postmarked from San Francisco, stamped excessively as if to taunt postal workers, and contained 1/3 of a 408-symbol cryptogram, along with boasts of the murders. The letters began, "Dear Editor, this is the murder of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July near the golf course in Vallejo. To prove I killed them, I shall state some facts which only I and the police know." He listed specifics for Lake Herman: Christmas 1, brand name of ammo Super X2. 10 shots were fired, 3. Boy was on his back with feet to car 4. Girl was on her right side, feet to west, for Blue Rock Springs, July 4th 1st. Girl was wearing patterned slacks 2. The boy was also shot in knee 3. Ammo was Winchester Western. These details, withheld from the public, confirmed authenticity. He demanded the ciphers be printed on front pages by August 1st, or he'd cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again, until I end up with a dozen people over the weekend. Signed with a cross-circle symbol. The letter sparked a media frenzy. Newspapers complied, publishing the puzzle on August 1st, and code breakers worldwide tackled it. Donald and Betty Harden, a high school teacher and his wife from Salinas, cracked a 408-symbol cipher in just a week using frequency analysis and trial and error. The full decoded message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is THA. When I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and they have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name, because you will try to SOI down or atop my collection of slaves. For my afterlife, Eburedum et Piety." Riddled with misspellings, some deliberate to complicate decoding, it revealed a mind fixated on hunting humans as sport, drawing from the most dangerous game, and a delusional belief in afterlife slavery. The last 18 symbols were filler, but the message sent chills. This was no ordinary killer, but a showman reveling in his power. Undeterred, the Zodiac struck again on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, a picturesque reservoir surrounded by pine-covered hills, popular for picnics and boating. The day was warm and sunny, with families enjoying the last gasps of summer. 22-year-old Cecilia and Shepard and 20-year-old Brian Calvin Hartnell, students at Pacific Union College, a Seventh-day Adventist school, were relaxing on a blanket on a remote peninsula jutting into the lake. Cecilia was intelligent and compassionate. Studying to become a social worker, she volunteered at orphanages, played guitar in her church band, and was known for her empathetic nature. Friends said she could make anyone feel heard. She loved hiking and stargazing, dreaming of traveling to Europe. Brian, a pre-law student, was outgoing and principled, involved in campus ministry and debating clubs. He aspired to be a lawyer fighting for civil rights, inspired by the era's activism. They were devout Christians, their relationship chaste and built on shared faith. Around 6:30 p.m., as the sun dipped low, casting golden hues on the water, a hooded figure approached from the trees. He wore a black executioner's mask with clip-on sunglasses over the eye slits, a bib-like garment emblazoned with the Zodiac symbol in white, dark pants, and carried a .45 automatic pistol and a 12-inch knife. Claiming to be an escaped convict from Deer Lodge prison in Montana, he said he needed their car and money from Mexico, tying their hands with pre-cut plastic clothesline to feign robbery. But deception turned to savagery. He stabbed Brian 6 times in the back, the blade plunging deep with grunt of effort, blood soaking the blanket and grass. Cecilia, witnessing in horror, was stabbed 10 times, front, back, and sides, in a deliberate pattern resembling the Zodiac cross, her screams echoing across the lake as birds scattered. Brian played dead, but heard the killer's heavy breathing and footsteps retreating. The scene was ritualistic. Blood trails led to their white Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, with a killer wrote in black felt tip pen on the door. Vallejo/12-20-68/7-4-69/September 27-69-6:30 by knife, cataloging his crimes with dates and methods. He then called Napa police from a payphone. "I want to report a murder." "No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of park headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carmen Ghia. I'm the one that did it." Size 10 and half-wing Walker shoe prints were recovered from the scene, indicating a suspect weighing more than 210 pounds. Detectives later located 3 young women who had noticed a strange man in the general area just a couple of hours before the attack. Shepard died within 48 hours of the stabbing from septic shock. Brian survived from the attack. The attack's theatricality, the costume, the bindings suggested escalation, a killer evolving his signature. The Zodiac's final confirmed kill came on October 11, 1969, shifting to urban San Francisco's upscale Presidio Heights neighborhood, where fog rolled in from the bay and streetlights cast eerie glows. 29-year-old Paul Lee Stein, a cab driver and English Ph.D. student at San Francisco State University, picked up the fare around 9:45 p.m. Paul was ambitious and intellectual, working nights to fund his studies. He loved literature, quoting Shakespeare to passengers, and dreamed of teaching at a university. Married with a young child, he was devoted, often bringing home small gifts for his family. The Zodiac directed him to Washington and Maple Streets, then shot him once in the head with 9mm at point-blank range, the blast echoing through the quiet block. Blood and brain matter splattered the cab's interior. Paul slumped lifelessly, his body contorted in the seat. The killer rummaged his pockets for wallet and keys, perhaps to simulate robbery. 3 teenagers witnessed the crime from a house directly across the street from Stein's cab. The Zodiac's face was clearly visible by streetlight. The teenagers watched as the Zodiac wiped down the vehicle and rifled through Stein's clothes. He left behind 2 partial fingerprints from his right hand. While the Zodiac was tending to the cab, the kids called the San Francisco Police Department, SFPD. They described the criminal as a husky white man in a dark or black jacket. The dispatcher mistakenly alerted SFPD that the suspect was black. Just 2 minutes after the call to SFPD, 2 nearby patrol officers responded to the radio dispatch. They encountered a white man in dark clothes walking north towards the Presidio Army base. They pulled alongside the man and asked if he had seen anything suspicious. The man confirmed he had seen someone waving a gun and heading east. The officers hurried away. The Zodiac later claimed he was the witness that spoke to the 2 officers. When police arrived at the scene, Stein was declared dead. SFPD canvassed the area, including the Presidio. The Zodiac had probably fled the area in a car by then. Police assumed the murder was a result of the robbery. However, the Zodiac mailed a bloody piece of Paul Stein's shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle on October 13th. He enclosed it in a letter, where he boasted about the murder and claimed to have clandestinely watched SFPD's search for him. The letter read, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington ST plus Maple ST last night. To prove this here is a blood-stained piece of his shirt. I am the same man who did in the people in the North Bay area. The SF police could have caught me last night if they had searched the park properly instead of holding road races with their motorcycles, seeing who could make the most noise." He threatened to sniper a school bus, detailing a plan to shoot tires and pick off kiddies exiting, escalating terror that led to armed escorts for buses. The Zodiac's letters continued sporadically until 1974, with over 20 authenticated, each a window into his madness. The "My name is cipher Z13," sent April 20th, 1970, remains unsolved. A 13-symbol code teasing "My name is," followed by symbols like AN circle plus K. Experts hypothesize names like Kane or Allen, but no consensus. The Z340 cipher, mailed November 8, 1969, stumped for 51 years until decoded in 2020 by David Orenchak, Jarl Van Eyck, and Sam Blake. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me that wasn't me on the TV show, which bring up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sewer, because you now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I, VNOW, that my new life will be an easy one in paradise death. Referencing a Jim Dunbar TV show where a caller claimed to be Zodiac, denied here. It reiterated his slave-collecting delusion. Other missives included the button letter, June 26, 1970, with a bomb diagram threatening mass murder. The dragon card, April 28, 1970, boasting 10 victims. And the Mikado letter, July 26, 1970, quoting the opera, claiming 13 kills. Misspellings like paradise and experence were likely feints, as handwriting suggested education. Investigations involved Vallejo Police Department, Napa Sheriff's Office, San Francisco Police Department, and FBI, but mishaps abounded. Early on, agencies hoarded info, delaying connections. Vallejo dismissed links to Benicia until the call. San Francisco Police Department's radio error let the killer slip away after Stein's murder. Led Detective Dave Tashi, immortalized in Dirty Harry, filled 8 cabinets with suspects but faced scandal in 1976 for allegedly forging a Zodiac letter to boost his profile. Fingerprint mismatches, handwriting discrepancies, and partial DNA from 2002 from stamps, excluding suspects, frustrated efforts. In 2018, genetic genealogy inspired resubmission of evidence, but as of 2025, no match, though hypothetical advances could identify via distant relatives. Thousands of tips flooded in, overwhelming resources. Psychics and hoax letters diverted attention. Over 2,500 suspects emerged, but a few stand out with detailed life stories. Arthur Lee Allen, born 1933 in Vallejo, topped the lists. A Navy veteran dishonorably discharged for misconduct. He worked as a teacher but was fired in 1968 for molesting students, convicted in 1974. Serving time. Stocky, 6 feet 0 inches, closer descriptions. He wore a Zodiac brand watch with the symbol. Friend Don Cheney claimed Allen discussed killing couples, attaching flashlights to guns, and using Zodiac from his watch. Allen lived near crimes, owned similar guns, and made suspicious comments like wanting to hunt people. Searches in 1972 and 1991 found bloody knives, bomb pipes, and codes, but handwriting, DNA, and fingerprints didn't match. Allen died in 1992 of kidney failure, denying involvement but reportedly confessing to family. Lawrence Kane, born 1924, a salesman with Navy service, matched descriptions and lived in the area. Survivor Majo ID'd him in 1991. Kane had brain damage from a 1962 accident, possibly explaining erratic behavior. He followed Darlene Ferrin and had cryptic writings, but no hard evidence. Richard Gaikowski, born 1936, a journalist for counterculture paper Good Times, had similar handwriting. He was in Albany during a taunting letter postmarked there. Committed to a mental hospital in 1971, coinciding with letter low. Friends noted his interest in codes. Died 2004. Earl Van Best Jr., claimed in a 2014 book by his son, based on ciphers allegedly spelling his name, but debunked. Gary Francis Post, pushed by case breakers in 2021 and 2023, an Air Force vet who died 2018. They claim anagrams and letters spell his name, scars match sketches, and FBI lists him secretly as suspect with partial DNA. Post lived near scenes, had painting skills, watch paint flex, and violent history, but FBI denies closure. Unconfirmed victims add layers. Sherry Jo Bates, stabbed in Riverside 1966 with a taunting letter. Domingo/Edwards shot 1963. Donna last vanished 1970. Postcard hinting Zodiac. He claimed 37, but only 5 confirmed. Culturally, Zodiac permeates media. David Fincher's 2007 film Zodiac, with Jake Gyllenhaal humanized a hunt, Dirty Harry, 1971, drew from him with Scorpio Killer. Books like Robert Graysmith's Zodiac, 1986, fueled obsession. Podcasts like Monster, The Zodiac Killer dissect clues. In 2025, Zodiac Killer Project by Charlie Shackleton, a metadoc premiering at Sundance and winning Innovator Award, critiques true crime tropes via a failed Zodiac film. It explores genre saturation, blending absurdity and insight. New book Zodiac. The Final Cipher by a retired FBI profiler offers tantalizing clues from unseen files. Hypothetically, if 2025 DNA retests yield a familial match via advanced genealogy, it could unmask him posthumously, bringing closure amid ethical debates on privacy. Reddit buzzes with theories, some predicting resolution this year. What drove him? Power fantasies, perhaps military trauma, sexual sadism masked as hunts. The case haunts for its unsolved status, denying justice to victims like David, an aspiring leader, Betty Lou, a gentle soul, Darlene, a vibrant mother, Cecilia, a compassionate dreamer, Paul, an intellectual family man, and survivors bearing scars, Michael reclusive, Brian a lawyer advocating closure. Do you think Zodiac will be identified in 2025? Was he Allen, Post, or unknown? Share thoughts below. Like, subscribe, hit notifications for more true crime mysteries that refuses to go away. See you in the next one.